Evening, freaks. It's just after midnight out here, just outside of Detroit. And I decided to drop in for a little special session with you all. Okay, we are going to pull some cards, but we're going to work with the cards in a different way. This was actually something that was suggested by a dear friend of mine who also happens to be a viewer at Broad Heaven. And they were saying they really wanted to see some video on numerology because all of us readers are always calling out these numbers, right? And there's a lot of people that don't know what the hell we're talking about. So um, they were saying they thought that that could be really helpful to have some insight. So I decided I'm going to launch a whole numerology series here, right? This is going to be the first video of many that will come in. But what we're going to look at today is just sort of a bare bones basics, like kind of uh, an intro to numerology, what it's about, um, what you can learn from it, how you can apply it to your life, and we'll kind of go into some things that I'll be bringing in here, so you can be on the lookout for future videos, and hopefully it'll pique your interest, get you curious, and I think it'll actually help you get a lot more out of the reads too when you understand how numerology works. But also, it will enable you to use it to your ultimate benefit in your life as well. Because if you think about it, the multiverse is all mathematical. Okay, so these numbers carry certain, patterns of creation, and that's what numerology is really beneficial for, is helping put you in the flow of manifestation, so you can really be the architect of your reality. You often hear people talking about these master numbers. This is most often what you hear coming forward from the tarot readers. Like 1111 is probably the biggest one, right? 1111. Really, what we're looking at with um, a master number where you have two numbers paired like that, two of a kind, twins, you could say. You are really looking at an amplification of that root number's energy, all right? So when we're looking at the number one, we're looking at independence, um, individuality, um, innovation, being very goal driven, knowing where you're going, knowing what you want to achieve, knowing the actions you need to take, really being um, that spark of change, the initiator. And in fact, the number one is associated with the magician in the tarot. These numbers all have different tarot correspondences as well. So it can very much help you understand how the numerology is coming through and how it's speaking to you as well. So when we're looking at the master numbers in traditional numerology, okay, I'm going to bring in a little broad coven numerology as well, because as you'll find with all readers and you as well, once you open up to the basics, the fundamentals of these different metaphysical systems of thought, you'll get your own downloads. You'll get your own intuition really coming forward about special applications for you to bring forward this knowledge, and what little twist you can bring to it that actually might bring something really innovative, since we're talking about number one here, okay? Innovative to the scene, that unlocks a whole new level of potential. Because, again, like I said, the universe, all of creation is mathematical, okay? So the equation just goes on and on and on and on and on. All right. So there's always room for improvisation. And I feel like that's also very much in alignment with that one energy. So when we're looking at 11, we are looking at an amplification of that energy. So we're really looking at you coming into your element, probably having to take a stand alone, these are the kind of issues, the kind of challenges that would come up in your life. You would be looking at more more inwardly focused on yourself as opposed to focused on others. That would be the challenge. The challenge would be to kind of mind your own, stay in your lane, stay focused on yourself, because there's always like a penalty box too. There's that dualistic energy. We're always working with that, balancing the shadow and the light. So where you have a sense of independence, that's the ideal of being in alignment with the one energy. You might really struggle with codependency. Okay. You might be too clingy. This is something you might need to overcome. You might need to learn how to be more independent, how to stand on your own 2 feet, how to have more conviction, how to be in integrity and really stand in your truth and have the confidence to bring that forward. And also to not just have an idea, but take the initiative, go for it, put your energy out into the world, bring your voice forward in the world. This is very much the energy of that number one. Okay. So if you look at goal oriented, okay, as being another aspect of one, in the shadow, that would be, no motivation, maybe a lot of ideas, but no follow through. One is that initiation point. Usually the initiation comes in a thought. We get a thought, we get an idea. Okay, now are we going to take it to the next level? In the shadow, one would be kind of like, just getting the idea, getting the inspiration, but not doing anything, not taking the initiative, not taking the action to make it happen, since that's also part of the story with the number one energy. And then we have innovation, a spontaneity, the ability to like turn on the drop of a dime to do something different, to do something different, to do something outside of the box, to be able to go beyond, any sense of limitation and open up more into that grand possibility energy. Okay. So when you're looking at it from that perspective, in the shadow, that would be an inability to see beyond the challenge that's being presented. It would be very stuck, set point of view, unable to like open up to a view in a different window on the reality grid, and sort of get a different perspective, do something a new way. If you're finding a challenge, there's always some way around it. Okay. There's always a way through. It might be a bit like threading the eye of a needle, but there's always a way through. Okay. So it's kind of that kind of energy. It can work in the positive, it can work in the negative. But when we arrive at a master number, we know that something's been mastered. Okay. And what's been mastered? The root number challenge, work to be done, coming into that place of I'm really seeing like the 9 of Pentacles in my mind as associated with that one energy. It's very much like being in that place of being in your element, being self-assured, in a place where you feel very rooted in who you are, and you've built a certain foundation for yourself within yourself. You feel comfortable in your own skin, you got confidence, and you've invested in yourself. You're in that place of independence, and it's a very healthy place of independence that allows new blessings to spring forward. Well, what springs forward from that? What is the blessing? Think of it as achieving a key. Okay. So if you get a master number coming up, it's like, okay, I got the key. What does the key open the door to? Well, with one, we're looking at one doubled. So one doubled, 1 + 1 is 2. All right. And 2 is an energy that's all about partnership, unity. It's about the intuitive mind. It's about having influence. It's about being able to have sway, knowing how to work with energy, knowing how to call things into being. And it's aligned with the high priestess in the tarot. Okay. So that's how I want you to think of it. It's like a graduation of the energy. So when you see 1111 showing up on the scene, it's a synchronicity, first of all. It's like master number doubled. And then we're also looking at the next master number in line. And it was 10 on the clock, right as I said that, okay? So ones, okay? Ones. We've been talking about ones here. But what do zeros mean? Okay, zeros mean gifts. And in particular, they mean spiritual gifts. So when you see a 10 is not just the culmination point, okay? It's not just an ending, like when we look at the 10 of swords, or when we look at the 10 of cups as arriving at a certain place of fulfillment, okay? Or any of the 10 of wands, reaching maximum burnout point, okay? Or the 10 of pentacles, seeing the full fruition of your vision manifest and the abundance that pours forward from that. Tens also promise that with this culmination, this endpoint, there's a new beginning, and this new beginning, which is symbolized by the one, the starting point, the initiatory point, brings gifts, spiritual gifts, okay, blessings, and we see that in the zero. So anytime you see a zero, there's this signification that there's a blessing that comes through. All right. So very, very interesting for that to come in. So there's 3 numbers that are considered master numbers. That's 11, that's 22, and that's 33. I personally feel that anytime the number is doubled, it's a master number. And that's my own take on it. Okay. That's my own hot take on it. And I use it the way that I described to you. I look at when that number shows up, it shows me that I have mastered the lesson of that number. I've obtained a key, and it's taking me to the next level, which is what that number is doubled. Okay. That's how I do it broad Coven way. All right. So for example, let's look at a very popular angel number. Okay. So that would be 444, right? We see this come up a lot. 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12. You break it down, okay? You find what the root number is by reduction, okay? Addition to reduce to a single digit. So I like how it's a little bit of that kind of oppositional play, you have to add to reduce. It's very interesting to me. So let's say you got 444, right? You got the 4 plus 4 is 8, okay? And 8 plus 4 is 12, and 1 plus 2 is 3. So the root number is 3. Well, what is 3? We can look at 3 as often it symbolizes, for me, okay, helpful people, the ascended masters, guides, guardians, angelic assistants. If you're somebody who doesn't relate to that, and there are some people that don't, you could see it as help coming in, support coming in from your higher consciousness, as well as bringing mind, body, spirit into balance. It can also be helpful people in your environment, but these people act as like way showers, They put breadcrumbs on your path that lead you out of the wood, when you feel like you don't know which way to go forward. This is usually when you'll see a number like 444 showing up, and it's to guide you in what the new foundation is going to be for stepping forward, because 4 is a very foundational number. 4 is all about structure. Think 4 walls, okay? I'll get into that. I'm going to break down each number and what each number is about, but kind of want to just do this little steady stream opening to this, okay? Just so you can get a feel for it. I want to play with it with y'all. Then we got the 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay, 8 is a number about power. 8 is a number about manifestation. It's about that final culmination point. If you turn an 8 on its side, right, it forms that infinity symbol. All right, very significant. So 8 is the meeting point. Okay, it's where the 2 points meet. If you look at it that way, okay, is you have the center point, right? The center balancing point. So it's everything in balance. It's also the manifestation of the foundation that was put in place with the 4. It can lead to wealth, and it can lead to power. And just like anything else, it can also operate in the shadows. So here's the thing: when you're stepping up into the doorway that's opened with the key you obtain with a master number, you do have to be aware of the shadow aspects that can surface, because these shadow aspects can really hold you back from stepping into the potential of that new cycle that is opened when you get that master number, when that master number starts showing up for you a lot. And especially if you don't work it, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, If you don't use it, you'll lose it. And it's the same thing with synchronicity. And that's really what we're looking into too when we're looking at this whole numerology picture. We're looking at synchronicity. We're looking at patterns, okay, which is what math is. It's all patterned, okay? So you're noticing similar patterns, repeat patterns, and these patterns are sort of creating a framework to build your reality upon. They're coming as a signal for how to lay that foundation, right? Because 11 is also about getting the vision. That master number 11 is about getting the vision. It's the initiation point. It's like, okay, I just got this inspiration. Okay, I just got this vision. Okay, I just got this dream. 22 is the architect. Okay, 2 plus 2. What is 2 plus 2? It's 4. All right. 22 is the next master number of great significance. So we're talking about that 4 energy, right? The foundation, right? The structure, the architectural structure to build reality upon. All right. But then we look at 4 plus 4 equals 8, right? That is that power. It's also power in balance, okay? Shadow aspect, it could go out of balance. Absolutely. It absolutely could go out of balance. And if that were the case, there could be corruption. And where there was abundance, there could instead be greed. Okay, so you got to look at these things. And when you see what you're stepping into, the new cycle you're stepping into, you also have to be aware of what the pitfalls are. So you can avoid them. That's how you can start kind of mapping out the way you move forward mathematically. Okay, mathematically. And it's funny, as I said, that is 17 on the clock. 1 plus 7 is 8. Okay, and that's what we've been talking about, 8. Bringing that into balance so you can manifest. It's all about manifestation. You see it in tangible reality. It's knowing how to wield your power in such a way where you can activate the 33 master number. Okay, 33, 3 plus 3 is 6. Okay, and 6 has everything to do with Venusian energies. It has to do with pleasure and abundance and creativity and communication. And it also resonates with that Empress card in the tarot, okay? Who all things are birthed through, all right? So that's what 33 is as far as a master number is concerned. It's about going through that chain of the vision to the architectural foundation and the actual building of the dream, bringing it into being. If you build it, it will come, and it comes through that Empress energy, the activation of the Empress energy, and it manifests it into your reality. And everything comes into its full bloom and its flourishing point. It's a beautiful journey, but 3 plus 3 is also 6. Okay, like we were talking about, the Venusian energy. It's also, for me personally, 6, whenever I see 6, and this is how I want you to start to relate to these numbers too. It's also about what it speaks to you. Remember that. When you're here dropping in with me on this channel, I want you to activate your intuition. I'm here to hold a space where you're empowered, okay? I hope to be able to give you information that can spike your curiosity so you start to explore and you learn more about yourself and you feel really empowered in yourself because you got all the keys inside of you. All the answers are inside of you. So really stay connected to that. Now, I want to explain why 6 to me, when I see 6, I see purpose. Your purpose is being activated. 1919 on the clock when I said that. Boom, 1 plus 9, 10, 10, 10. Okay, 10, 10 is 20. All right, so let's look at the root numbers. We got 1, we got 2. All right, it's about coming into alignment with another. Okay, when we're looking at that energy, or in this case, bringing together 2 opposing sides, getting them on the same page, the head, the heart, to that point of instinctual awareness, okay? And this brings about gifts. This brings about gifts. In other words, purpose, picking up the scent of the trail. It comes in such a way where you activate instincts. The instincts will guide you forward. These numbers show up on your path in an instinctual way that can guide you if you can notice them. because that's spotting the patterns and that creates more synchronicity. All right. And then soon it acts as a guidepost for you. Oh, okay. I know what's coming up here. So I know what energy I'm being called to bring in. It's a 1, I'm being called to be innovative. Okay. It's a 2, I'm being called to unify, to cooperate, to get on the same page. It's a 3, I'm meant to pay attention to this. Somebody's bringing something helpful in that's going to support me on my journey forward. And for me, 6 is personal. Okay. And this is how your own personal views, personal experiences, and your personal feelings, intuitions come into play. I am a life path number 6. This is another part of numerology. Specifically, I am a 24/6. Okay. So you arrive at your life path number, and I really encourage you to find out what your life path number is. All right. As a starting point, we're going to begin with that with this video. So your life path number is arrived at by adding together the number of your birth month, your birthday, and your birth year. Okay. And just like I said before, you add each digit together. Okay. You get one number, which for me, my birth date arrives at 24. So 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 is my birth number, my life path number. And that means that is the lessons I am here to work through in this life. Okay. So 6 is associated with the lovers in tarot. So that gives you a clue right off the bat. How I perceive 6 when I see 6 might be different than another person does. Okay. And let's look at this piece of like some people that have kind of like bought the indoctrination that 6 is an evil number because of 22 on the clock when I said this. Okay, we got architectural building blocks coming in right now on the maximum level. Okay, we have to understand the way the programming affects what we build. Okay, if you think that 6 is an evil number because you associate it with the devil because of 666, that's just not so. Let's break down 666. Let's go there, okay? I'm a Libra, devil's advocate. Let's do it. Let's break it down. 6 plus 6 is 12. Plus 6 is 18, okay? Which equals 9. All right, let's look at what number 9 is about. 9 is about awakening. It's about expanding the consciousness. It's about waking up out of your slumber and letting the scales fall from the eyes and seeing things as they are, just like the serpent sheds the scales from its eyes when it sheds its skin, okay? It's often a tower moment, okay? A 6 can bring awakening through a tower moment. A lot of people with a 6 life path number may find they're often used as catalysts in situations. They come in right as something is about to either fall apart or come together, and they act as the catalyst. They like blow everything out of the water. They bring that tower on. It's kind of ironic because when I was a teenager, I had a friend who called me catalyst because they noticed this, that whenever I was around, situations, like everything changes. Everything changes when I come around. And in my own life, I've dealt with that a lot. Like, oh my gosh, another revelation. Oh my gosh, another curveball. My life has been kind of like that, where a lot of awakening moments, sometimes tower moments. And towers aren't always bad. Towers can blow your mind. They can give you a totally different view. They can really expand your awareness, expand the way you see things. So, try not to have such a negative view, but, 6 is not an unholy number in any way. And just looking at that 666, it's funny, it arrives at the 9 because the 9 is also about a very supportive energy. Okay. It's about being able to support you when you move into that hermit journey where you have to walk alone, which often comes after a point of awakening, right? a tower falls and you go into a place of internalization, self-reflection. You have to go your own way for a while. You have to feel your own way out. You have to, go out into the world and find yourself, maybe get lost for a while to find yourself again. And it's all happening on the inner realms where the individual is falling back on their soul. Okay. So, um, look at things in a different way, but see, that gives you an idea of how this can work. Um, so yeah, just find out what your number is, and then you can associate it with the proper tarot card too, and look into the tarot card associated with your life path number, and it'll give you a lot of insight about what you're stepping into. So let's just keep looking at 6, and 6 is my life path number. Um, 6 represents the lovers. Okay, so most of my challenges in life will probably revolve around relationships. That feels like that's been pretty true for me. Um, it also speaks a lot to Venusian energy, which I am a Libra. I'm a very strong Libra. I have 5 planets in Libra, and I am a Libra sun, Libra rising. So that's pretty intense. And it's all in the first house of the self, which is Aries house. It's opposite. So that's very much true. That's very much true. I carry a lot of Venusian energy. Those are themes. And also looking at that on the opposite side, let's look at the shadow side, where Venus is about pleasure. In the shadow, Venus can be about overindulgence. I've certainly overindulged in certain things in my life. That has been a pattern of mine. It is something that I've dealt with. Okay. And have had to overcome. So there's different ways you can look at this. You see how these pieces kind of all come together. 6 is a very supportive energy, though. It's about wanting to help, hold space for others, lift others up. It's also about working together with people, creating support networks. It's also about a feeling of protection, it's holding the space. There's a lot of space holding with that 6 energy, but it's a beautiful space. And there's also a lot of love in that space, and it can be very much associated with romance. But again, it's the Venusian energy. So there's can be the tendency to go out of balance. It's helpful to know what you're working with. And when I'm looking at the lover's card, 6 in terms of the lover's card, it's about a choice. All right. And so 6 life path numbers will often find themselves repeatedly at the crossroads, needing to make a choice. It's either this or that. And sometimes they can stay there weighing that up for quite a while. So it's no coincidence that that 6 energy with Venus is associated with Libra. It makes a lot of sense if you think about it. All right. So let's go ahead and we're just going to look at each of the numbers that I haven't broken down. I'll just give you the buzzwords for the ones that we did go over so far. So number 1 is all about independence. It's about goals. It's about inspirations, innovation, doing things uniquely, your own way. It's very much that goat energy, that go-getter energy, ambition, taking the initiative, actually taking action, and it's the magician in the tarot. Okay. Number 2 is all about intuition. I would say it's very much about balancing shadow and light. So these are areas of spiritual work you might be doing when you're in a 2 cycle, and I'll talk about that in a minute. It's a unifying energy, okay, brings things together. And it has influence, especially on the more subtle levels, influence emotionally, and also the ability to tap into influences, being very sensitive, being able to read the room, being energetically in touch, and it resonates with the high priestess in tarot. Then for number 3, we have communication, okay? That third house of Gemini is all about communication, all right? So communication, artistic pursuits, creativity. It's also charm, and a certain helpfulness. Helpfulness comes in with this energy. I feel the helpfulness comes from people outside of you and through the communication that comes in from the signs around you. Okay. So it's a little bit of that graduation of the high priestess energy, only now it's kind of filtering into the everyday reality instead of being internalized. And this is associated with the Empress tarot card, which is all about the birther of the new way, the birther of realities, the birther of dreams, the birther of life, of new life. And that's a very abundant, blessing energy, also a very sovereign kind of energy. All right. So there's a lot of blessing around the number 3 and what it represents. And then we have 4. Okay. 4 is very much that structure, like we were talking about. It's the foundation. It's the 4 walls, it can be a box, okay? At times it can feel confining. It can feel too structured in the shadow. It's about practicalities. It's the nuts and bolts. It's the basics, the bare bones basics. It's also about loyalty, all right? And service, being service oriented. How can I be of service? Um, how can I meet the need? All right. And it's associated with the emperor in the tarot. So think about the emperor in reverse. That's something we're familiar with. We know what the emperor in reverse is like, right? Totally impractical, totally impulsive, very headstrong, not loyal at all, self-serving, right? Not service oriented, all about selfishness and what works for me, my way or the highway. Okay. So this helps you understand. Once you understand what tarot cards, the numbers are associated with, then it can also help you understand how that energy manifests in reality, because you've all been getting really familiar with tarot readings, right? Number 5, okay? So 5 means a lot of different things for me personally, okay? So I have some different takes on this, and I want to bring in some of those different takes because I feel it can be helpful to sort of root the information. 5 to me is a fixing number, okay? So 5 for me is the number that can put things on lock, it can like hold it down. I also see 5 as the 5 elements, okay? It's that earth, air, fire, water, akasha, or spirit. Um, and that's because of the path I'm on. I am a witch. I walk that path, and it's about being in harmony with the elements. There's a lot of misunderstanding about that path, but I'm not going to go into that now. I'm going to do more videos about that because I just keep hearing so much misinformation, and I really want people to have a different perspective, because it's definitely been so distorted by Hollywood and media. It's just really lost its true heart through the way it's being presented on social media. It's kind of disturbing for me, because truly it's about being in harmony and balance with nature. So it's almost like people are feeding this imbalance with the nonsense they're putting out about this path. Okay. So anyway, that's my own little soapbox moment there. But 5 to me is about balance. Okay. It is. It's about balance, about being in harmony with nature. It's Da Vinci's, that figure of the man out like standing like a star. Okay. It's got a positive aspect for me. I also know that it's about curiosity, exploration, um, and an eagerness to learn, to discover more. Okay, traditionally, it's also very social, and about making connections, and that makes sense to me. You look at a pentagram; it's got 5 points, all connected by different lines. All right, but the 5 is also adaptable. Okay. And I think this is the piece that comes in where people see 5 as a negative number, like, oh, it's going to be really abrupt negative change. No, it doesn't have to be. That's all on you. So adaptability requires that you can't be too fixed, all right? You have to be able to flow with things, which means you got to learn how to read the room. You got to learn how to read the energy. You got to move with the energy without fighting it, without resisting it. It's the stubbornness. It is the inability to look at a new way or be willing to try something new that leads to the gridlock, that leads to the problems, that leads to the arguments that come up, or the betrayal of the Five of Swords, or the disappointment of the Five of Cups, or the combativeness of the Five of Wands, all right, or the loss of the Five of Pentacles. Like you have to be willing to go with the flow. If you fight the flow, life's not going to work in harmony with you, because life does not resist the flow. Okay. So it's very easily overcome by coming into harmony with nature, coming into balance with nature, this five energy. So look at it a little differently. The things that can get in your way are what the card associated with the number five is, the Hierophant. You hear everybody talking in tarot about the Hierophant being like, oh, that's spirit, that's the most high. It's like, no, the Hierophant is the intermediary between you and spirit. So I'll let you just sit with that, because if you're really in balance and in harmony, you don't need an intermediary. It's all in you. All right. Just a little something to sit with. It's just a little something to sit with and let kind of percolate, percolate, and just, feel out for yourself. But also, the Hierophant is about the programming. It's about man. It's about institutions. It's about government. It's about authoritarians, right? Things that aren't very adaptable, things that are very intractable, all right? So this is where we can get that gridlock, right? It's the key. It's key. There's all these keys here, all right? All these keys here. But if you can embody the energy of the Hierophant as far as being an intermediary between spirit and man, and you just become that intermediary, that's a key. 3733 on the clock for how you can move out of that challenging five energy when it's operating in the shadow. Okay. So what do we learn? 3733, 3 plus 7 is 10. Helpful people. Okay. That's what number 3 is all about. It's about helpful people coming in, support coming into balance, mind, body, spirit. Number 7, we'll get to that in a minute, but number 7 is very much about spirituality. All right. It's a spiritual number. Spirit's on the scene. You're making contact with your spirit when number 7 is on the scene. So very fitting for that message that was just brought in with the intermediary aspect between spirit and man. And then, of course, we had the 37 is all about 10, the new cycle, the new beginning, taking the initiative to be adaptable, look at a new way to move forward. This brings gifts, spiritual gifts, all right, with that 0 energy. And 33, what do we find out? For me, it's about that puts you into alignment with your purpose. And we know that this is what bursts new things into being, right? Because that's what it means as a master number. All right. So you see how the pieces build? They're building blocks. I want you to think of these root numbers as building blocks. They're building blocks to build the architecture of your manifestations upon. All right. It's a perfect way to look at it. We already went into 6 quite a bit, but just some buzzwords for the 6 energy is all about support, protection, romance, union, marriage, cooperation. Okay. And I say choices very strongly. Choices. Being caught in the crossroads a lot and having to make really important life path decisions. And it's associated with the Lovers in tarot. Then you got number 7, okay, which we already introduced a little bit, is about spiritual connection, okay? But it's also about, again, curiosity, it's It's about blessed synchronicity. It's lucky. You've heard that, right? So here's how some of the programming comes in. Just we have sayings that we've heard, and these also influence what different numbers mean for us. We've all heard lucky number 7. Okay, so there's such a charge that's been imbued in the number 7 that resonates with luck. Okay, so definitely I would say luck, even though that's not like a traditional meaning. It is analytical. Okay, the ability to look at all the little details, how they come together. It's about knowing that the details make a difference to the bigger picture. Okay, so it gives you clues about the most successful ways to bring things into being. It gives you lucky clues. Okay, you could say that, and it puts you in harmony with the spiritual. And this is when you see spiritual um, influences coming forward in your day-to-day life. Or you could also look at this as things you can't explain by rational means. Okay, just really unusual synchronicities, strange things happening repeatedly so much that you feel like this is here to tell me something. Okay, and again, if you want more synchronicity, just pay attention to it. I'm telling you, as long as you pay attention to it, you're going to find more synchronicities. And how do you catch a synchronicity? In the present moment. So the more that you can stay really focused on the present moment, the more your synchronicities are going to show up. And those synchronicities are going to give you clues that will guide you forward on your path and put you in alignment with the best possible outcome for you. Okay. Because you're moving in harmony with the natural flow when you're in touch with synchronicities. And when you're in harmony like that and you see lots of synchronicities showing up, you know that you're on the right path. Okay, you're heading in a good direction. All right, so something to be aware of. Associated with the Chariot card. Okay, so number 7, it gets things moving forward. We move out of that indecision, right? Because we have the guidance coming in from the spiritual. We got signs showing up on our path. We're able to be more analytical. We're able to kind of look at things, look at the details of things, and this is what gets us moving forward with the Chariot. Number 8, we have ambition. All right. This is about really being able to see where you want to get to and having the wherewithal to do what it takes to get there, like really investing the energy. It also has a very karmic energy to it. And it's all about legacy, that which endures. That's that which will be around for a long time. It's also about matters of power, like we talked about. It is that infinity and the balancing point between polarities. It's the point that brings everything together. It's the point where we actually see the vision manifest. All right. So we went over that quite a bit. It's associated with the strength card. Okay. And this gives you an idea about that balance, the power that's in that balance, because in the strength card, you have the Empress standing there, and she does have in traditional tarot. Maybe I can find her while I'm talking to you. She does have an infinity symbol over her head, and she is very gently, because she's in balance, because she's the balancing point between the polarities, she is able to gently tame the lion, even though she has its jaws, around her hands. She's just so gently masters, tames the beast. It's through an inner strength, a calm strength. Okay, that really gives you the feel of that. And then we have 9, which is all about consciousness expanding, illumination. You could say enlightenment, things coming to light. It's also about being able to have compassion, tolerance, and it's a very supportive energy as well, where you feel held. You feel held as you're moving through an experience. It's associated with the Hermit card in tarot, right? So oftentimes, 9, that awakening energy, like we tapped into earlier, it's like a tower moment, right? And the tower usually forces us to go into that hermit mode where we just want to spend some time alone, integrating our experiences and getting straight with our soul. And there's a lot of supportive energy in that helps guide us forward and brings us back to the zero, which reveals the gifts on the other side of that time alone, and then back into the one, right? The new beginning, the initiative. Okay. There's also something that really came forward for me in terms of the master number, and that was 11, the vision. Okay. And then 22, the architecture. It really made me think of how in some decks, 11 is justice, and in other decks, 11 is strength. And so I almost saw these things as interchangeable. Um, it's really interesting. I saw it as interchangeable. So I feel like that 11 and that 22 also gives a clue about, because like 11, 11, all right. So since justice is 11 and strength is sometimes 11, 11, 11 is 22. It made me feel like this is a big key in being able to arrive into that place of really being able to be the architect of your reality and create from that place of empowerment. It all is about that, that ability, first of all, with that one energy, right? That magician energy to be able to have the vision, and not only have the vision and hold the vision, but take the action to direct the vision, to call it into being. And then the strength to root it in material reality. How? Through alchemy, through overcoming the challenges of the past, through gently taming the beast, right? Gently taming the beast so you can become that center point of polarity, the meeting point, that infinity symbol that moves you into power. And through that power comes all abundance through the Empress. All right. So that's a download that came in really strong for me. So I want to go ahead and just get a few cards on the board just so we can start to like play with the numerology in terms of the cards, so you can understand what's coming up when a reader is calling out the numbers. Often we call out the numbers on our clocks, but not necessarily with the cards, right? Sometimes we do if we see multiples. We got this card coming out in reverse. Okay, so we got the Two of Wands in reverse. All right. And then, oh, this is perfect. I love that it came out like this. Okay. And then we have the Two of Pentacles upright. All right. So this is a balancing act. And it's that 11-11 energy. And isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? We were just talking about this. And 11-11 together. Look, even with the Roman numerals, it looks like, turn it upright for a minute. Oh, I turned the wrong one. I drew the wrong one upside down. It looks like 11-11. 11 plus 11 is, 22. So to me, this is exactly what we were just talking about. But it's interesting to me because I feel like a lot of us are going through this karmic balance right now, right? We're trying to find the balance. And with that two energy, what we're really trying to find is the balance between us and the other person on the other side of the table, all right? Because twos are all about that unity energy, all right? So if you wanted to look at it this way, you would also see there's two ships in the background here, okay? And they are on this water, all right? So we got two pairs here, 2, 2, 2, 2, all right? I mean, there's that 22 energy within the card too, all right? It's really interesting. Now, if we looked at these pieces all together, I want to show you how you can build this. And usually what happens for me is this information just comes in really fast. I just get the numbers funnel into my head and I spit them out. But I'm showing you how I arrive at these things when I'm reading tarot or when I'm looking at a clock. Okay, so there's this 2 up here, but it also looks like 11. Okay, but let's just call it 2. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter really. It can be seen both ways, but let's, for the sake of this, for right now, we'll look at this is 2 here. Okay. There's 2 here. Okay. And then there's 2 ships. Okay. 2, 4, 6. Okay. So what did we learn 6 is about? 6 is also about relationships, right? It's about unity, bringing things together. We see that what is the struggle here is that there's trying to bring things together in unity, but something's off. The balance is off. The balance is off. And with the ships, ships make me think of ships coming in, and we see here there's the 2 of wands, which is looking out towards the future, but it's in reverse. All right. So it's like feeling hopeless. Like, is there going to be any future in this? Is there going to be that moment of the ships coming in when everything is kind of topsy-turvy like this? We can't get on the same page. We don't know how to bring this thing into being. Look at the infinity point. Okay. There's that 8 energy even hidden in this card too. All right. So trying to figure out with the Pentacles energy, all right, trying to figure out how do we bring this thing into balance so we can actually manifest what we want, bringing this thing together. And there's a clue here with that 8, right? It's about being that balancing point. Remember the Empress. She does so calmly. Okay, so water in the background, water is very much related to the emotions, the feelings. So there's probably too much turbulence in these feelings that is causing these ships to sail off course. There needs to be a little more grounding with that pentacle energy. And look, we got the 5 there too, the 5 points. 5 plus 5, right? 10, 1. If you take the initiative to be adaptable, to look at things a new way, then you can really bring things forward and have a new beginning. A new beginning that brings what? With the 0 gifts. Okay. So this is just one way, that you can apply the numbers. I hope that this was a good intro to just kind of get you thinking about these ideas. So I will be putting out regular videos. I'll be putting out videos every week on this. I think it's a really fascinating topic to dive into. And another way for you to learn more about yourself, which I think is really cool. So I want to bring a lot of stuff like that into the channel. And I also just wanted to say thank you so much for the suggestion, the idea, coconuts. And please, if there's something you would like to see on the channel, if there's something curious about, if you have questions and you just want to dive into some of this really out there stuff, like I am so game to that. All right. This is a broad coven. We look at the broad picture. We don't stay in boxes here. Okay. We play, we explore, we experiment, we walk on the wild side. All right. So anything, no holds barred, anything you want to see on this channel, any idea that you have for a reading that you're like, I really wish somebody would do a reading on this, or I really wish somebody would put forward a video on this topic, drop it in the comments for me and I'll meet your need. All right. I'll meet your need. I will deliver. So I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed dropping in for this. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I look forward to more of these with all of you. Have a beautiful night.